Greetings, everyone. Merry Christmas to you all. You know, this is Russell Rucker, and I'm here for another constitutional talk. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about our conflict. You know, by Christmas 1775, it's been 9 months since the battles of Lexington and Concord. We've taken over forts up towards Quebec, Crown Point, Fort Ticonderoga, and we've taken all these armaments up there, and Washington has taken over command around Boston. We've put Boston under siege, and Washington has sent 1,000 men up to Fort Ticonderoga. And he wants the armaments that he can get. So Knox, with his 1,000 men, goes up, and you wind up spending Christmas, the whole Christmas period, hauling with oxen, sleds, trying to carry all the cannons back down nearly 300 miles. It takes you 58 days to make this, and this is what you're dealing with on Christmas Day of all times. There's never a time when the conflict is a complete peace. And this is something you have to understand about what we gave up for liberty. Liberty is not always free. There's a hardship to it, because you are constantly battling and fighting, trying to maintain a certain amount of liberty. And as long as Boston is occupied by British forces, having at one point nearly 6,000 men there, after the king stated we were colonies in rebellion. And so he sent troops in. They had the whole city to themselves. But we had the countryside, and we had them surrounded. And the siege went on till March of 76. So from the 19th of April, when the Battle of Concord and Lexington was over, and we'd driven them all the way back to Boston, we surrounded the area, and much of that time, almost all the time, they were under a siege. Yes, there was the battle up on Breed's Hill, known as the Battle of Bunker Hill, up in Charlestown. But for the most part, we controlled the area, and we could stop them from coming in. And this is what they were dealing with on Christmas. They weren't celebrating. They weren't enjoying the day. They weren't giving thanks. They were marching down with cannon, pulling through ice dams, through snow. It was a grueling, hard effort to get down there. And when we talk about the efforts and the struggle that we had to face to get liberty, it helps you understand how important liberty really is, how important freedom is. And right now, during this period of time, we are well divided. It's not the only time we've been divided. We're divided then between the Loyalists and the Patriots. We were divided during the Civil War between the North and South. And today, again, we are struggling and divided with much division between us. It's best if we try to get along with one another. If you're gathering for a Christmas dinner with family and friends, you don't want to be fighting over everything. Today should be a day of peace, a day of honoring Jesus Christ, our Savior. That's what Christmas is about. It's the birthday of Christmas, Christ's Mass. And our founders were religious people. Today, there are plenty of people that want to claim that it's not so, but it is. That's what our country was founded on. Many of the colonies were Protestant, virtually all of them. Quebec had Catholics, and which is one of the reasons when we went up into Quebec for the Battle of Quebec, one of the reasons they didn't want to aid us. They wanted to stay out of it. They didn't want to help the British, but they didn't want to help us either. But Christmas 75 was spent by many of our soldiers either guarding, keeping the siege around Boston, or they were hauling all this equipment back. Think about the struggles we had to face to get liberty. Liberty, my friends, is where it's all at. I hope the next week we can get back to discussion more on our constitutional principles, exactly what we have here. Our Constitution is a wonderful document. It gives us lots of freedoms, lots of liberty, and it confines the federal government to what they need to have a strong central government, and that is all they're given. Now think about that for a few minutes, and we'll catch you next week. And Merry Christmas to you all, folks. Have a good week. Enjoy, celebrate, be kind to one another. We'll catch you next time, next week, on the next Constitutional Talk. Goodbye for now, and Merry Christmas to you all.